Hi, today I want to take you through a code I've written um, on how to implement a very basic um, implementation of an M-Pesa application, okay, an M-Pesa account. This is one of the Python concepts we call classes and objects. In Python or in programming, class is one of the fundamental concepts that should be able to learn for you to be able to be okay with almost every programming language, okay? And Python also has that concept of object and the classes. So classes is blueprint that allows you to be able to model a real world application, a real world object, sorry. It allows you to model an entity like a person, a company, and a bank account, bank, vehicle, all those are entities. And you can also say they are objects because an object or an entity is anything that can be described by some specific attribute. For example, an object person can be described by name, age, gender, national ID, and many other. He's married, he's a student, many other attributes. And an entity like a bank can be described by bank account, the account name, account name, account number, balance, branch, all those are attributes that describe a bank account. An entity like an M-Pesa account will be described by the name, mobile number, national ID, balance, PIN, and even the mobile now location, the the GSM, something like that, to do with the telecom network ID, something like that. The mobile, the ID, that's the network, which whatever signal you're using and all that. There could be many attribute. And another thing about an object or an entity is it should have the procedures for interacting with it. How do you interact with a person? What some of the things that a person can do? Okay, so a person can sing, a person can talk, a person can call another, a person uh, can be celebrating a birthday. So that's some of the things a person can do. What can a bank account do? A bank account will allow you to withdraw, deposit, send money, pay bill. All those are some of the functionalities a bank account can do. So if you are to implement such objects in a programming language, then you'll use a class and then you call it, for example, now we are going to learn and implement an M-Pesa account. So we use class keyword in Python to be able to create an object or a class. Okay, basically this is just a class. Okay, and then for you to be able to create an instance of this class, you introduce what we call a default constructor. Okay, the default constructor is a special function. Okay, a function is another concept that I've skipped because now I'm assuming I'm simplifying the classes and objects concept in Python. So this is a special method that allows you to be able to create a class instance so that for every instance, you can be able to interact with it as that instance. For example, the way you go to an ATM to withdraw your money, I'll just put in my card there and then I'll be interacting with my own account. In the same machine, a friend of mine called Alan, for example, comes in, puts their own machine, ATM, sorry, in the ATM machine, and then they'll be interacting with their own account. So I cannot withdraw money from their account because when I log in, an instance of Jackson is created. Okay, then I interact with the account for Jackson only. And then now when Alan joins, then that my instance is destroyed. That's that session. For now, I can just call that session instance because I don't want to go into technical bit and complicate it. At a very basic level, we are calling that's an instance of Jackson. Then when I log out, that instance is null and void, doesn't exist. So Alan's instance is created. Alan's account is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Their balance is different from what I have. So this allows you to be able to create such instances. And in Python, we create a default constructor using init. These are two underscore, no spacing between the two. And the word is init. In full, it means initialize. And then what are we initializing? I've made a mistake, it's fixed. So we are initializing, we want to initialize member, these are called member attribute. Member attribute, okay? They are members of this class. This class M-Pesa account. So what are these attributes? We have name, mobile number, national ID, balance, PIN number. So this is to tell Python, please create for me when I call when I'm creating an instance, please, I want this instance to have attribute name, mobile number, national ID, balance, and PIN number. So that now that instance can own those attributes, you have to initialize member attribute by using the word self.name. Self means you are referencing the instance. So you're pointing back to that this instance at that specific instance. Okay, that this you're pointing back to this object at that specific instance. So meaning if the instance is destroyed and another one is created, then you cannot be working with the name of the previous instance, but instead it should be the current instance. So at that instance, name should be name, whatever you provided when you are creating this instance. That's why we normally say self.name equals name. So that when you are creating that instance, you want the name that is provided when you are creating the instance to be the name of these objects, okay? Objects, M-Pesa account. The same thing to the mobile number, national ID and balance, okay? Then what some of the operation can you perform with a bank account, an M-Pesa account? You can change your PIN, you can validate. This is now, I'm putting it here for some other reason. You'll get to understand why. Don't worry about validating user, but this is to check your PIN. If when you're doing a transaction, you'll be asked for PIN. So that PIN will have to check if it's the correct one that you provided for this object, for that instance. Okay, and then you also have a function for depositing and another one for withdrawing. So I want to take you through the one for depositing, then it will also lead us to the validating user. So let's do so this is how you request for input in user input in Python. We are asking you enter amount to deposit, then you have to check if it's within the limit. If it's less than 50, according to M-Pesa, you cannot, you are not allowed to deposit anything less than 50, and you cannot withdraw anything greater than 100,000. So that amount, you will get a message, amount exceeds the allowed minimum. Oh yes, wait, this is allowed maximum, not minimum, thanks. And otherwise, then if you are within this range, then now you can proceed and ask you for PIN. Okay, and then so that's when you get to this validate user, where this is prompting you to provide the PIN for that when you're doing that transaction. Okay, and we will check if this is we will have a variable called is provided PIN correct. So this is the PIN that you're providing here. When you're typing the PIN, we will check it against what you provided when you are creating this instance. Okay, the PIN for this particular instance, we will check if user type PIN is equals correct PIN. Double equals means you're comparing what user typed and the correct PIN that we have here on for this instance. Okay, then you return user provided PIN. You are returning to who? The caller to this function. The function that will be accessing validate user, some of them are the deposit and withdraw, because that's when or even when you are setting, that's when you also need to validate user and make sure their pin is the correct pin that's they put when they are registering for the M-Pesa account, or when they change their pin. Okay, because we also have for changing pin that we will also come to it later. Let's proceed to the deposit now. So once you've checked is, as you can see, validate user is returning a boolean which is true or false. You can see here I've set it to be true if user type pin is the same as the correct pin, which is for the pin for this instance. Okay, so I'm returning that. So it's returning a yes, a true or false. So that's what I'm checking. If it's valid, that's meaning if it's returning true, then now I can proceed and do the mathematics, increment. So when you're depositing, the balance should increase. So to increment in Python, you have to say self.balance to make sure is the balance for this instance that is being updated, not any other balance, but balance for this particular instance. Okay, so self.balance plus equals increment by or add by, it's kind of direct, straightforward. Increment by what? Deposit amount. So balance will increase by deposit. Then now we will send a message, deposit transaction amount, blah, 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 successful. New balance is that one. This is just to format this text. Otherwise, we'll just tell you transaction failed. Why? Wrong PIN number, wrong PIN here. Okay, that's it. Let's test it. Mistake. Fix that. Yes. Let's check the withdraw. The withdraw is the same. It's prompted to enter the amount you want to withdraw. Then we check if the amount is less than the allowed minimum, then we will not accept. We will tell you less than allowed minimum. If it's greater than 100,000, then it will tell you amount exceed the allowed maximum. There is that limit. Otherwise, if you're within the range, that is greater than 50 and less than 100K, 100,000, then now we can do check is if it's valid, we will prompt you to enter the PIN. Then we will check if it's the correct one for this particular instance. This instance, by this instance, I mean the instance that is currently trying to withdraw or trying to deposit, whichever transaction that instance is doing, we are checking if that's the balance that that instance has. Then this is withdrawing. Withdrawing now, when you're withdrawing, the balance reduces, so it decreases by what? It decreases by amount that you deposited. So we will have to say minus equals withdraw. This is how Python works. No spacing between minus and the equal sign. Then if that's success, we will tell you withdraw transaction successful, and then you show you the new balance. Otherwise, we just tell you transaction failed. Why? Wrong M-Pesa PIN. So basically, that's how an M-Pesa application works. Okay, that's how the M-Pesa system does the transaction, the job. Now it's time to create a new M-Pesa account. So when you are creating an M-Pesa account or even a bank account, we will provide your name, okay, then the phone number, the national ID, or the attribute that we defined when we are creating the default constructor, because the default constructor is the function that gets called when you are creating an instance, and the default constructor is accepting parameters. What's that? Those parameters about? Those parameters are the attribute of this object. So we have Jackson. Now we are trying to call the deposit function. We are accessing the deposit. This instance called Jackson is trying to deposit. And also after depositing, Jackson is also trying to withdraw. I don't know why you're depositing and withdrawing again, boss. And we also have another instance called Alan. Let's say Alan Mwangi. Alan's phone number is 7000 370. Then this is the national ID. Alan has 100 bob as the balance, and the pin is 1234. The pin for Jackson, remember, is 2022. And also Alan is trying to deposit and withdraw. Now let's run this code and understand what happened. Remember, the first function to be called is Jackson deposit, and then we can try to differentiate here. Print Jackson transacting. Then here, to show the difference, we'll have print Alan transacting, so that we can be able to see different output. Now, Jackson transacting, enter deposit amount. I want to deposit 5,500. Enter pin 2020. Deposit transaction failed. Why? Wrong pin. My pin was, look, my pin is 2022. So let me repeat this. Oh, wait. Yes, let me repeat. I'm depositing 40. It failed. Why? Amount less than allowed minimum. If I tried, this has reminded me we are supposed to cover for deposit withdraw. You shouldn't withdraw less than the allowed minimum, because right now we don't have anything on the balance. So if I withdraw 2,000, and then pin, even if I put the right pin, then it's telling me new balance is negative 200. So it's a mistake. I need to fix that one quickly. I'm supposed to add another elif here. Elif is means else if the first condition is not met, then we will check the first one. So if self dot balance is less than the withdraw amount, then you have insufficient fund. So message will be then you say withdraw failed. I think withdraw failed should come first. Withdraw failed, insufficient funds. So let me run this again. I'll deposit 40 again, the way I was testing with it, then try withdraw 2,000. You see, I'm getting withdraw failed, insufficient funds. Now it's better. Now Alan is transacting. Alan want to deposit 3,000. And then pin for Alan was 1, 2, 3, 4. Deposit transaction. As you can see, new balance is 3,100. Why? Remember, when he created the account for the first time, Alan was able to deposit, he had 100. Don't ask me how he got the 100, because now we are making some assumption, because when you are registering the account, it will be 00, of course. Let's make it 00 the way it normally happens. It's supposed to be 00. 00, then the M-Pesa, the guy who is opening the account for you will recommend that you activate by depositing something. So let's say for the first time, that's now why Alan and Jackson want to deposit. So Jackson, we can try 2,000, enter pin 2022. Then my balance is 2,000 because I had 0. Now I want to withdraw. I want to withdraw 500. 500 pin 2022. You'll see with withdraw transaction amount 500 successful, new balance is 1,500. Because I had 2,000, now minus 500, it becomes 15. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. Note, I want you to know that my balance for Jackson is 1,500, but Alan wants to deposit 6,500. Pin for Alan is 1, 2, 3, 4. Deposit transaction amount 6,500 successful. Balance for Alan not 6,500. Now Alan want to withdraw 4,000. 4,000. Enter pin 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice Alan's balance is how much? 2,500. You can see the instance for Alan didn't affect instance for Jackson. Jackson did his balance, his deposit amount where he was depositing 2,000. He did a withdraw transaction where we withdrew 500. The balance for Jackson now is 1,500. But Alan did a deposit of 6,500 and then did a withdraw transaction of 4,000. Now balance is 2,500. Let's confirm. Down here, after Alan withdraw, we want to print Alan's balance is comma self, not self really, Alan dot Alan. When I say Alan dot, I'll be able to see all attribute and function that are associated with Alan. As you can see, balance with the not really Alan, but all object attribute and method that are associated with these objects. So object, we want balance. So you can see balance. Then we print again Jackson's balance is Jackson instance Jackson dot balance. Let's print. You notice. Remember, I'll have to repeat the step. Whenever I'm running this file, it has to run everything from top down. So that's how Python works. It runs the code from top down. So I'll have to still enter deposit amount 2,000. That's what I did. Pin 2022. Withdraw amount, I was withdrawing 500, and then pin 2022. Alan now was depositing 6,500. That's what I said. And then pin 1, 2, 3, 4. Amount withdraw. Alan want to withdraw 4,000. Pin 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see, Alan's balance is 2,500 and Jackson's balance is 1,500. Simple. That's how you implement a very basic objects in Python. We've said you define a class M-Pesa account. You give or you define a default constructor that will be called whenever you call this class or whenever you're trying to create an instance of this class. Okay. Then changing pin, I want to mention how changing pin works. You will prompt user to enter a new pin, and then you will reinitialize the self.pin number to be new pin, so that let me comment some of this line. I don't want to run the transaction again. Now I want us to focus on changing pin. Oh, I don't want to comment where I created Alan and the way I created Jackson. Yes, I don't want to comment that. When you comment code, remember it doesn't run. So I want Jackson to change pin. Jackson.change pin. Then I want to print pin for Jackson. We shouldn't show pin, but we will do it for now. Pin number. We can print it even before changing. Then remember Alan, I've not changed, so I'm just going to print Alan.pin. You can see Jackson is the one who is changing pin. Jackson.change pin. Alan is not doing anything. Listen, I want you to pay attention. So current pin is 2022. Now I want next pin to be 2220. As you can see, new pin is 2220, but Alan's is unchanged. It's still 1234. So that's how it works. So this is Jackson, GTech Learning, simplifying Python for you. Hope you've been able to find this session very useful, and I believe you've learned something. OOP is a concept, especially the classes that give some people a bit of problems, and getting it right is normally a challenge, because there's a very slight difference between when you are working with just the class and when you are working with the object itself. So that's it. I believe this was useful. You can get in touch with me and at GTech Learning to get to learn more and also get started with Python classes. You can get in touch, gtech.co.git dash like that. This is the then our program. You get to learn more. You can also call to make an inquiry. Bye.